Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Houston Sports Hub back into the video today, and today the Cleveland Browns have traded for Jeudy, wide receiver who he's going into his fifth season after his fourth season just wrapped up with the Denver Broncos. Man, I love this trade for the Cleveland Browns. Look, I love Amari Cooper, and I think that he's a great wide receiver one. And don't think I'm going to say he's not the wide receiver one now that Jeudy has been acquired by the Browns, because that's not what I'm going into. Jeudy wasn't even the number one wide receiver on his original team with Courtland Sutton, and Amari Cooper. As much as I like Courtland Sutton, Amari Cooper is way better than him. But I think as Amari Cooper starts to age a little bit, and I'm going to honestly go ahead and say this, I think the Browns' wide receiver core outside of Amari Cooper is a little bit weak. I really like Elijah Moore, but I think the Browns' offense will look a lot better and will put a little bit less stress on Amari Cooper as him being the wide receiver one, Jeudy being the wide receiver two, and then Elijah Moore sliding down to the wide receiver three spot. Jeudy, guy who had 758 receiving yards in 2023, and only 87 targets with 54 receptions, 16 games and 11 starts, had 2 touchdowns as well. This was also, he was also a wide receiver who nearly had 800 receiving yards when he was not the main target. Courtland Sutton was. And yes, I think he's a little bit inconsistent, but I still think he's a good addition for this Cleveland Browns team. So here's what they are giving up. The Cleveland Browns are giving up a fifth round pick in 2024, a 6th round pick in 2024, which is overall picks 135 and 202. I think for getting a guy like Jeudy, who, yes, it's his last year of his contract, so it's a rental basically. I still think is a really good trade for the Browns. I like this as much as I liked the Elijah Moore trade last offseason. I really liked them bringing in Elijah Moore, and I thought it'd bring some wide receiver help for them. But I think this is even better. Jeudy, I think, is a little inconsistent, but having a wide receiver like him going next to Amari Cooper will be really good. I mean, look, Amari Cooper's great. We saw him have that game against the Houston Texans. My favorite team, would he get 265 receiving yards? I think Amari Cooper's great, but if you have to throw to a guy like even Amari Cooper, when you have to throw a guy that much, it kind of shows you don't really trust your other wide receivers. And I think for Cleveland to get a guy like Jeudy, it will bring them. I think Cooper's targets might go down just a little bit, but sometimes we do see Amari Cooper have a little bit off games. If he's going on, if he has a tough matchup, maybe we see him have an off game. Then you'd have a guy like Jeudy who can step up if Cooper is having a bad game, and I think it's a more complete wide receiver core now that they've added in Jeudy, and at times it might take down the workload for Amari Cooper, which is good for him, especially with him aging. But yeah, so I like the Jeudy addition. I think if you look as me being a Texans fan, if you look at some of the wide receiver cores Deshaun Watson had, he always had he had D-Hop for most of his time with Houston, but he always had a number 2 guy or even a number 3 guy who was a good target. I know last year he was in Houston. They kind of blew things up, and he didn't have a good wide receiver core. But if you look at his other seasons with the Texans, like when he had a wide receiver core of D-Hop. He had DeAndre Hopkins. He had Will Fuller, who, if you've seen Will Fuller Texans highlights, Will Fuller was a beast, and Demaryius Thomas. And he also had other wide receiver cores like DeAndre Hopkins and Will Fuller and Kenny Stills. And I know those are names now. If you hear those names, you're like, oh, those besides Diop, those are not big names. Obviously, Demaryius Thomas, RP, he was a big name, but at the end of his career. But But those guys were definitely playing good football at that time. That was the 2018 and the 2019 season. So Watson had a great, had back-to-back seasons, 2018, 2019, had a great wide receiver core. And, I think this is the best. I think, with Amari Cooper, Jerry Jeudy, and Elijah Moore, I wouldn't go. I think this is one of the best wide receiver cores Deshaun Watson has had. I mean, obviously you have he's had D-Hop in his prime, but you also have Jerry Jeudy with Amari Cooper who can still play excellent football. And then you have Elijah Moore. I know this guy's not a wide receiver, but you have an excellent tight end like David Njoku. This Browns offense definitely looks improved adding in Jerry Jeudy. But let me know your thoughts on the trade in the comment section for the Browns. But for let's get to the Broncos for a second. The Broncos, I like this trade for them. Courtland Sutton's still there. He's going to be great. I think they'll find a way to bring in another wide receiver throughout the offseason. We've heard Michael Thomas's name out there, that he's someone they might have interest in. Maybe the draft. They might look at a wide receiver in the draft. We'll see. It's a loaded wide receiver class this year in the draft. So I think there will be opportunities for the Broncos to add in a replacement for Jerry Jeudy. But you're saving $13 million in cap space, so I think this is a great move for the Broncos as well. I think both teams are benefiting off this trade. I think both teams won this trade. I don't think either team lost in this deal. Let me know your thoughts on the trade in the comment section, and peace out.